Hey, what's up? Welcome back, everyone, to another Warzone 2 video. Today, we have a new update from Infinity Ward that's going to cover some massive changes happening within multiplayer, DMZ, and most importantly for this channel, Warzone. If you guys appreciate all the up-to-date news on all things Warzone and Modern Warfare 2, make sure to subscribe here for even more. But without further ado, let's jump right into it. So this is a highly anticipated update because they've started to backtrack on a lot of the changes that we really didn't like heading into Warzone 2. So I'm excited to see what's going to come our way. Once again, this was launched today, January 25th. By Infinity Ward. The path to Season 02, Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2, and Warzone 2.0 community update. Hello, Call of Duty community. We want to share with you some updates to the Season 2 for multiplayer, DMZ, and Battle Royale. Information on new maps, new modes, and more will be shared across the coming weeks. All the changes outlined in this blog will be further detailed along with new content in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2 patch notes released prior to the season launch on February 15th. So they delayed it. Originally, it was supposed to be February 1st was when the new season was supposed to launch, but now they have pushed that back to February 15th. We should expect some patch notes prior to that. So global changes across the board. Crashes and stability. We remain dedicated to improving the overall stability and performance of our games, including reduced crashes across all platforms and titles. Expect the Season 2 patch notes to further detail specific bug fixes and changes ahead of February 15th. This has been a huge issue. Me personally, I have had to underclock, below what my PC is supposed to be running at just so it's stable. I know people who are having issues on console as well, which is really unforgivable because those are like baseline, hardware that they know what to tune to, and you're still having issues. So hopefully they get that tuned out with Season 2. Audio. I'm actually really excited about that. It says data suggests that some PC players may be experiencing audio issues due to discrepancies in the number of channels they are outputting. We've added the option to force PC stereo output. Please be sure to check the Windows in-game audio settings and set correctly in accordance with your listening environment. It's a little bit weird for me, right? Because they're mixing this incredible landscape to be, Dolby Atmos. Perhaps just setting it simply to stereo will help out. But what they really get into here is important. It says investigation into player reports regarding audio led us into identifying a previously unknown issue impacting occlusion across the game. I don't know why this was an unknown issue because I've complained about occlusion since Caldera, but audio occlusion is a filter that is applied based on the type of material that an object or structure is composed of. Incredible technology. Primarily based on the thickness of how it blocks the full frequency of the sound. Only large structural objects should apply the filter, but we found some small items like a stapler or a pile of rags on the ground that were causing the filter to turn on when it shouldn't have. For example, a wastebasket that was tagged with the incorrect material may have occluded sound that was behind a wall, making the sound more difficult for a player to hear. The issue will be addressed in Season 2 update, and we will continue to work on fixes and new audio features to better our players' experience. So this is kind of hot and cold, right? One, they're finding fixes for some reason, like if a desk was in between or a doorway. I've seen it. If you're in between a doorway, the sound will just disappear. But like at the end of the day, like we're playing a first-person shooter, okay? This is an arcade first-person shooter. We're not in here for deep immersion. We want audio as we're heading into gunfights. If someone is coming over a hill, yes, I understand it is a large piece of terrain. But if they're 5 meters on the other side of a rock and I can't hear them just because there's a little bit of a hill in the way, that's a terrible gameplay experience for me, right? And so there's a balance between realism and this incredible occlusion technology that needs to be shifted towards player awareness, right? Because if someone has the high ground on you and you have bad positioning and you hear them coming and you get gunned, that's one thing. But if you just get gunned out of nowhere, that's a horrible gameplay experience that no one wants, right? We're prioritizing realism over gameplay balance. And that's, I feel like, what a lot of the issue has been with Warzone and Warzone 2 especially. And it seems like they're doubling down on the occlusion, but at the very least, they're fixing some of the things that shouldn't occlude the sound. So We'll see how this is in future updates. UI. A number of UI updates are coming in Season 2 to improve the overall flow of in-game menus. These updates include improved navigation and organization of the camo menu, more polished social tab, thank goodness, including channel swapping for player muting, new My Bundles screen, quick equip for the Battle Pass My Bundles in store, reticle previews in the store and Gunsmith, improved clarity of attachment blocking logic in the Gunsmith, and more bug fixes. We recently introduced a fix that restored instant speed of recent player menus, and status refresh of friends. Hopefully that's true, because the recent lobby, recent squad, recent friend hasn't worked at all since like the last month, and they still don't have a play again feature, which I know many of you want when playing squad fills. Further details on this change will appear in the Season 2 patch notes. Experience, improved after action report with audio, the play again feature. Okay, there it is. They added the play again feature, and then bug fixes for inconsistencies between challengers, battle pass, and weapon progression. Weapon balance. Weapon balance is something we are always analyzing, but never changing. We'll be balancing weapons for Season 2, just like any other season or mid-season update. Details on weapon balancing can be found in the upcoming Season 2 launch patch notes. We're excited to discuss some changes to armor below that make for more consistent engagement in Warzone 2. One thing I liked about Raven Software when they had, the keys and were in charge is that Raven would be updating things non-stop mid-season, right? If something was out of balance, they would knock it out mid-season. Infinity Ward, if you remember the DMR meta, the R90 meta, the Bruin meta, the ground meta, they don't touch anything until it is the absolute end of the season, no matter how broken it may be. See Snake Shots, right? Battle Royale, the Gulag. Thank goodness. 1v1 will be returning with the launch of Season 2. With this change, players will see the return of the original Warzone overtime mechanic, the domination style flag or control point, in place of the jailer. Thank goodness I'm not going to rant about the jailer anymore. What I might suggest in the future is actually having gas instead of a domination. Instead of like a capture the flag, have gas that pushes people in, right? And so it's still a matter of who kills who, but it's the gas that's forcing people in, just like the Battle Royale, instead of, oh, this guy's laying on the flag and now he captures it in 2 seconds and I lose. So just a thought for a better Gulag tiebreaker. In order to bring this change online sooner, we have edited the existing Season 1 Gulag for better 1v1 combat, but are actively working on a dedicated 1v1 map for future seasons. Interesting. Okay, so they're keeping the same map, but possibly blocking some of the areas off for a 1v1. We've also made some logistical changes to the Gulag experience. Ground loot has been revisited as well as the loadout that players spawn in with. We've updated the pool to include assault rifles, submachine guns, and light machine guns as primary weapons as the circle progresses. Shotguns have been removed from the rotation, while handguns will remain available as secondary weapons. And this worries me a little bit because light machine guns, I've never liked inside of the Gulag, right? Because it's just going to be people holding down pre-aims, right? Someone can have a bead on the domination flag and there's really nothing else you can do, because by the time you jump around the corner to challenge them, it takes you so long to get the gun up. I hate LMG Gulags, just like I hated akimbo pistol Gulags. Assault rifle submachine guns make sense, but hopefully they make the light machine gun builds at least a little bit more mobile and not like a 200 round PKM. For those leaving the area victorious, the Gulag will grant a larger cash reward to players. That's awesome. This change to cash will allow redeploying players to get back on their feet a bit faster. Possibly the ability to buy your loadout gun if you don't have your loadout, or buy your teammates back. That could be a really awesome regain. Alongside increased victory cash rewards mentioned in the previous section, the Gulag will now spawn cash on the ground loot to encourage players and reward players willing to prowl the arena. That's also a pretty cool change as well. I don't know when it says ground loot here, if that means that there's going to be ground loot in the Gulag. Me personally, I'm not a fan of that, because let's say we start in the Gulag and I go right and my opponent goes right. On my right side of the arena, I could have, I don't know, nothing, right? I could have a shock stick or something. And on his right side of the arena, he could have an M4. And so that adds some RNG, and I really hope they don't do ground loot in the Gulag, because that adds way too much RNG, in my opinion. But I do like things like, additional cash. That could be cool. Cash economy. In addition to the cash changes to the Gulag outlined above, we are balancing the Battle Royale economy with a slight reduction to cash rewards for completing contracts. Additionally, we are increasing the lowest cash values of cash piles from 8 to 800. Wow. And from cash registers 500. Wow. Okay. So originally you could pick up a cash, like a piece of cash on the ground, and it would only be $100. They're bringing that up to the absolute lowest is 800, and cash registers to 500. It could be as low as 100. Awesome. In addition to this, cash can be acquired via ground loot containers and white stronghold supply boxes throughout Al-Mazrah, but can no longer be found in basic and legendary supply boxes. Interesting. Okay, that's completely opposite. Back in Verdansk, it used to be that anytime you would open a box, it would give you at least one guaranteed money. Now, you don't get any money from basic crates. The only time you can find them is inside of ground loot containers and white stronghold supply boxes, not even legendary supply boxes. So just keep that in mind when you're going to loot for the regain. Hearing those chests doesn't mean money anymore. You need to be looting inside of ground loot containers. This redistribution should make for quicker and more consistent gameplay in the pursuit of resources. Loot and inventory. As announced last week, we're shifting away from the loot windows menus to floating loot that will now drop out of all containers in the world, similar to loot from supply boxes. This change is intended to improve the pace of gameplay by minimizing time spent navigating the UI, thank goodness, and getting the players back into the action faster. We were excited to see the new backpack system give players the agency to customize their inventory for a desired playstyle or role within a squad, and our continued effort to balance engagements. Medium and large backpacks will no longer be available, and eliminated players will drop loot onto the ground rather than loot-filled backpacks. Wow. So medium and large backpacks are gone, and anyone you eliminate will just drop all their loot on the ground. Every player will have the same backpack throughout the entire game, which will subsequently reduce the impact of stacking medical supplies, equipment, and kill streaks. We will continue to look for feedback and provide updates that streamline the looting experience for everyone. Interesting. So I hope with this change that when they make the loot spread out onto the ground, it's kind of like Fortnite where the loot separates itself so it's not all stacked on top of each other. But I think I like the idea of not being able to stack a ridiculous amount of things within medium and large backpacks. But what that also means is we're probably going to lose our third gun slot, because the only way you could carry 3 guns was with medium and large backpacks, and that is a huge change to the way we're going to be playing the game. All right, moving on to loadouts. Loadouts have always been a core part of Warzone Battle Royale and something we pay close attention to. The changes players have seen with the launch of Warzone 2 and since then have ultimately been in pursuit of the most fulfilling experience for the individual and the team, all while keeping things challenging. As such, we're further making changes to how players acquire part of their entirety of their loadout. Season 2 will introduce customizable perk packages. This feature will launch with a slightly reduced pool of available perks, which we may slowly reintroduce over time. We want to navigate this particular feature as carefully as possible, ensuring that all available perks provide the ample utility and remain viable, balanced options. So it's awesome we're now able to customize perk packages, but they're removing some of the perks, and I think the very first one on their chopping block is going to be Bird's Eye, like we talked about earlier in today's video. Primary weapons will continue to be available at buy stations, but now at a more affordable price so that the players can pursue victory with their most desired weapons. I thought $2,500 was cheap enough. They're making them even cheaper. We also remain happy with the introduction of loadout drop markers, though we have taken a careful look at the price point. The price of loadout drop markers has been slightly reduced so that the respective squad sizes can acquire full loadouts at a faster pace. In addition, on extremely rare occasions, player might find one while looting through Al-Mazrah. Oh, okay, you can find out loot drops while looting. A second loadout public drop event has been added, which means the drop will happen on the 1st and the 5th circle of each match. That means if it's happening on the 1st circle, it's no longer necessary for you to conquer a stronghold. You can now get your loadout without waiting for that 3rd circle drop. You can get one at the 1st or the 5th. The only reason to do the stronghold now would be like the permanent UAV. Additional changes. 3-plate vests. We're continuously evaluating the pace of combat engagements and have decided to make change. All players will now start with 3-plate vests, thank goodness. Varying sizes of vests will no longer exist in the Battle Royale loot. This standardization will bring a more reliable feel to each engagement from the get-go. We'll continue looking at the data about optimizing downtime and improving the ability to recover from a prior engagement. I love this, okay? Can't tell you how many times I would have won a gunfight if I had a 3-plate, but I only had a 2-plate. They got down to 20 HP, but they had the 3-plate, so they won. Like they said, more consistency in these gunfights will feel awesome. Movement. We've made an important tweak to movement that should yield better outcomes for players in combat. Starting with Season 2, players will be able to bust through doors while plating the way they were able to while sprinting. This change includes a slight increase to movement speed while plating to enable players to get the cover in the moments of need. Read that carefully, okay? We're still not getting sprinting while plating, but we're moving faster while we're plating, and at least now we can open doors while plating. And so they're still trying to punish you, right? And they don't want incredible finesse ability, right? But it seems like they're at least continuing to head in the direction of movement. Buy stations. In order for buy stations and their goods to be easier to access, we revamped our approach. Spawn locations have been added, adjusted. Spawns will be static across the map. Awesome, no longer RNG. And loadout drop markers have unlimited stock at all stations. As always, we'll continue to monitor the global balance of our economy and availability of resources as we move forward. That's awesome, because a lot of times we were having 2 buy stations right next to each other and then no buy stations anywhere. They've now manually put those in, so hopefully you won't find it like I see all the time. 4th circle, no buys left. They're adding guaranteed buy stations, which I think is nice moving forward. Strongholds. They provide an alternative gameplay experience with a high payoff for those willing to tackle the objective, and for others interested in robbing players of their rewards. We are committed to providing a balanced engagement for players who choose to enter the Strongholds. Season 2 will bring changes to reward players to receive. Season 2 will bring changes to the rewards players receive from Strongholds and Black Site completion, as well as adjustments to the AI combatant damage. So with them bringing in loadouts in 1st and 5th circle, they might need something else other than the UAV to make Strongholds more worth it. And they're bringing some changes to those rewards as well. So we'll see what that comes with Season 2. All right, so we're going to run real quick through DMZ and multiplayer. We're not going to take a long time here. We're just going to skim through it. So enemy tuning, they're making them a little bit more inaccurate at long ranges and making them less difficult as the, ramp up happens at the end game. They're nerfing the AI a little bit. They're also changing your spawn points up. They're also making it a little bit less difficult for some of the faction missions because they were too aggressive. They're fixing crashes. They're going to do a seasonal refresh of your faction missions so that way you can continue to play more and continue to earn. And they're also changing some locations as well where you can deploy. Multiplayer. They're changing some of the audio when it comes to occlusion as well. They should probably just add dead silence as a perk so you can actually move around the map freely. But hey, that's not my realm. Perk balancing, they're doing some changes there as well. They're doing some weapon balancing. We're going to be seeing that across Warzone as well. Hardcore is coming back to the franchise. They're adding some new playlists. And then most importantly, what I'm looking forward to is ranked play. Very excited about ranked play. I'll probably be playing that over on twitch.tv/IceManIsaac. So there are a lot of changes coming in Season 2. We have plenty of new content to share ahead. Expect more information with the brand new small map announcement coming next week, including the return of Resurgence. The full Season 2 announcement blog will be released on February 8th with the upcoming posts from studios, including Season 2 patch notes, as well as the blog from Call of Duty staff that is all set to drop before launch. We appreciate your dedicated and passionate Call of Duty community for the continued feedback and support. Stay frosty. Oh yeah, we are definitely dedicated and passionate. Make sure you guys, if you are interested in the small map content, I have an entire channel dedicated to small map content. Whenever Resurgence and small map comes back, make sure to check out the pinned comment and the description. That'll have my small map channel. If you want to check out coaching, where you guys send in your gameplay and I review it, that'll be available on my second channel. We're getting back to posting on there every single day. But if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to do me a favor, drop a like on it. A lot of people are going to be covering this, so if you enjoyed my perspective on it all, make sure to drop a like on it and subscribe for even more. But without further ado, by the time you're watching this video, I'm probably going to be live over on Twitch, so come join me over there, okay? Peace.